WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, often trying rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have the Cream of Kentucky Estate Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey Bottled and Bond, bottled by J.W. Rutledge. It's 50%, of course. Now, this is interesting because on the back it actually says here, distilled, aged, and bottled at Kentucky Artisan Distillery in Crestwood, Kentucky. DSP KY 20,004. I'm not really that familiar with Kentucky Artisan Distillery. I just know for Jefferson bourbons, they are now the spirit home of them as well. Let's talk about Jim Rutledge a little bit. All right, let's talk very briefly about this. It says on the back of the label, Cream of Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey Bottled and Bond is a 100% Rymin rye, estate grown, distilled, aged, and bottled at Kentucky Artisan Distillery in Crestwood, Kentucky. Limited to only 70 barrels, this unique Kentucky rye whiskey is one-of-a-kind release for Cream of Kentucky. Rymin, R-Y-M-I-N, Rymin rye. I have a nice book about rye. I'd have to look up and take a look at that varietal of rye, what's special about that, but that's very good. Now, Jim Rutledge, a master distiller. He's been in the whiskey business longer than I've been alive, and I'm 54 years of age, so I mean, this is wild. All right, he started in the spirits business back in November of 1966. He was working out of college in the research and development plant for Seagram's Calvert Distillery in Louisville, Kentucky. I have no idea. Have you heard about the Calvert Distillery? I don't know. All right, so during his time at Seagram's, Jim Rutledge worked about every imaginable position there. At the end, later on, 1975, he became the head of industrial engineering and budgets. So we always have to have, okay, what do we need in 5, or what do we need in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years? All right. So he worked his way up Seagram's, landed up in the New York headquarters as chief industrial engineer for Seagram's U.S. distilleries, and those were not good days. So 77 up until the late 80s, 70s and 80s, the popularity of bourbon nosedived. Seagram's quickly realized, hey, we're producing more than we're actually going to sell. By the way, the same thing's happening in Scotch at the moment as well. We're producing way, way more than we're actually selling. Is the bubble about to burst? Maybe. So Jim Rutledge, together with Seagram's, decided to do the following. Let's sell off some brands. Make some cash. Get rid of some of our inventory that way. Eagle Rare, ever heard of them? Yeah. A staple at Sazerac used to belong to Seagram's. Have you ever heard of Henry McKenna? Especially the 10 used to be the bourbon of the best bourbon of the year. Thank you, Fred Minnick, for not making us be able to get any more of that. Sold it off then to Heaven Hill. Very, very good. And so Jim Rutledge actually became more and more focused on one of the only countries that was actually growing in bourbon consumption between the 80s and 90s, Japan. And so he focused on the brand that was for export, and that was, back then from Seagram's, Four Roses. So, and that grew and grew and grew in the Japanese market. America wasn't even there. They'd taken it out of the market in the 50s. So you did not have Four Roses in the States in the 50s. You did not have it in the 60s, 70s, 80s, not even the 90s. It first reappeared 2001, 2002 on the market. So Jim Rutledge was introduced into the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. He succeeded to actually, first of all, work at the Cox Creek warehouse facility. There he was administrator and forecaster before he became, 1994, the master distiller at Four Roses. Great job there. And we now have Four Roses, all 10 mash bills, single barrel, small batch, select. We don't have that in Germany. We have it in UK. And of course, the limited editions, which are just fabulous, fabulous, fabulous products there. So, Jim Rutledge retired 2015 from Four Roses. He could have just said, hey, I want to play golf. I want to tour the world. I want to sit on my porch with my rocking chair and just relax. I mean, he has over 50 years of experience, but he actually said, there's nothing that I could do that I like more than being in a distillery. Wow, that's a statement. And so what did he do? He revived the Kentucky Cream of Kentucky brand. He actually went over to Castle and Key and helped them to actually commission that distillery. He launched his own brand, J.W. Rutledge, with the distillery. Never got the backing to actually have a location, but distilled at different places. And the guy has never really stopped. It's amazing what we have here. And apparently he distilled this about 5 to 6 years ago. And the suggested retail price was $70. It is 50% ABV. It's a bottle and bond product. It's confirmed to be 6 years of age, and it is 100% rye whiskey. So I'm going to compare it to my favorite 100% rye whiskey in the world, and that's Lot 40. Dr. Don Livermore, you did an excellent job of bringing us Lot 40. I've praised this brand so many times on all my channels. This is the north of my whiskey compass. If I drink this is more I'm at home. I can drink this and just go, yeah. Other people have other brands, but I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoy the Lot 40, and therefore the Cream of Kentucky is going to really have a little bit of problem here. There's a King of Kentucky? No, the Cream of Kentucky. All right. So I did I think it was a 13-and-a-half-year-old. Also, J.W. Rutledge put out something called then the High Plains Rye. So they basically had whiskey here from the Artisan Distillery in Kentucky. They had from a distillery in Ohio. They had MGP juice, and they had something up there from New York. So it's kind of interesting that he did a blend there, but this is not a blend. This is one of the 70 barrels that he helped produce back then at the Kentucky Artisanal Distillery. Pecan, but a lot of rye. Very, 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 I take a slice of rye bread and put some maple syrup on it. That's what I'm getting. It's a lot of vegetal moments with a little bit of sweetness going on in here. And maybe add a dash of wood spice. I have cinnamon, I have clove, I have a little bit of nutmeg. That's good. That's good. Now this is actually in the nose a little bit darker, a little bit deeper, a little bit more complex. Let's try it. 100% rye. That's not common. I almost did a comparison with Kentucky Creek, 100% rye from Virginia. The Distiller's Edition I really love. I just don't have a bottle in my shelf at the moment. So the 40%, the 46, nice. The 58% is a little too strong for me. I really like the Distiller's Edition. So I just went for this instead. Also 100% unmalted rye from Canada. Is it toasted and charred or just toasted barrels? I think it's only toasted barrels. Cheers. There's a little bit of creaminess, but it's not as thick and as much viscosity as I expected. There's a heat, there's a pepper. There's a pepper chili heat going on in here that I don't prefer. There's a darkness, there's a little bit of root beer, there's a little bit of a sassafras moment going on in here. It's a darker, almost like a mahogany type of moment. It's good. But the heat, residue, is long. It kind of distracts from the rye grain forward moment this whiskey is. This is a solid C. It's not bad, but it's not rocking my boat and rocking my house and going, oh, you have to have it. Would I go out and pay $70? I think I saw it usually at the moment for $89. I found one place online for $127. So I was like, oh no, people, come on. But I'm sure after you have the 70, let's say you have 70 barrels, you have 200 bottles per barrel. So 14,000 bottles for all the world. It's not that much. And that was 2021, I think. And so it's been a while since these products have been out on the market. Okay, basically 2022, I think, is when I hit at least Europe, at least here. We have it. I like the branding. I like the information on the back. They did a good job there. All right, just real quick. C, value for money, C minus, D plus, depends on what you're paying. $70 would be C minus. Anything above that would be the D plus. The lot 40, 38 euros. All right, you get 2 of these for 1 of these on the pallet. 50%, 43%, and still there's so much more here. There's so much fruit, and there's so much rye, and there's so much wood, and there's so much spice, and so much sweetness. It just absolutely fills the cavern of my mouth and gives me a warm, happy feeling. I prefer the Lot 40 over the Cream of Kentucky. Now, the Cream of Kentucky is not bad, the rye, but it's really not going to be something that commands the price of $70 or even $129 that I saw. And last time, a tiny little bit of leather, spice, not enough honey, but a tiny little bit of the honey's going on in here. And a little bit of a wood wateriness. I'm sorry. It just doesn't have the viscosity I would expect from a bottle and bond. All right, my question of the day is, what is your favorite 100% rye? We just eliminated all of MGP. Is it maybe the malted rye from Bacona's? Is it the Lot 40? Is it the Kentucky Creek? Is it the Cream of Kentucky? What other 100% ryes do you know of and you've had and you've enjoyed? It doesn't have to be from America. It can be from, doesn't have to be from North America. It can be from the world. I think Coureur rye up there, they do interesting things. Stauning rye, I think, is 100% as well. They're doing interesting thing. Stork from Germany has done interesting things. One of the whiskeys, I think 2018 was Whiskey of the Year, Rye Whiskey of the Year. So we have some very, very interesting 100% ryes out there. Write them down. Reservoir from Richmond, Virginia, my hometown in the States. Reservoir rye, 100% rye. Very, very nice. You should try it if you haven't. Thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, telling others here about this channel, and see you real soon. Bye-bye.